Hey folks, welcome back to Fireside Farms. It's a bit windy today, but I have been doing some harvesting around the property and thought I'd take a chance to show you some medicinal plants that have started leafing out. These are going to be my perennial desert native plants that I have around the property, what their food uses are, if they have any, and what their medicinal uses are. Now let me start off this video by saying, as I have in other herbal videos, I am not a licensed or certified herbalist in any way. I'm not a medical professional. You should not be taking medical advice from me. By all means, please do your own research, see a doctor if you need to. I am just showing you what I do and the knowledge that I have learned from books and internet searches and just experience. Now we are not in the garden today, we are actually on the property, and the plants that I'm going to be talking about, almost all of them are perennials and they are all desert natives. That means they are native, they grow naturally here in the Southwest, and a lot of these I can just walk out into the desert and find them. Now most of these plants here today I have cultivated. I did purchase them because they are not only for medicinal purposes, but aesthetically pleasing in my landscape. But there is one exception that I will show you guys that will probably be towards the end of the video that's growing wild in my yard right now. So without further ado, let's get started. The first plant I'm going to be talking about today is Vitex, also known as chaste tree, but the official scientific name is Vitex agnus castus. I do have this little guy in my front landscaping, as well as two others and one more in my in-ground garden that I just put there because I needed somewhere to put him. But this deciduous shrubby tree is naturalized throughout the western half of this region and produces small brown seeds after flowering, which are called chasteberries. And these are the primary medicine of this plant. Chasteberries are mainly used as a hormone normalizer for women. The exact mechanism of action hasn't been identified yet. Chemically, it reduces the release of prolactin to normalize progesterone deficiency. It is a really good hormone optimizer for women, and that's primarily what it's marketed as. You can find it in herbal, like on the herb shelf of several stores. I've never bought it because obviously it grows everywhere here. I don't know if it's called chasteberries or Vitex. I'm not sure, but it's been used to reduce PMS symptoms, menopause symptoms, and just alleviate hormone problems across the board because it's got this effect of normalizing whatever's wrong. It's not going to specifically bring progesterone up or down or specifically bring estrogen up or down. With whatever's out of whack, it's going to fix that. And I think that's really cool. There are a couple of contraindications for chasteberry because it does work on the hormone system and work on the dopaminergic system. It is not recommended to be taken if you are on any sort of drugs that act on the dopaminergic system, any sort of hormone replacement therapy or birth control, which is kind of essentially hormone replacement therapy. But like I said, do your own research. Herbal medicines can be just as powerful or more powerful than pharmacological drugs. So you definitely want to talk to a healthcare professional if you're going to be mixing things. All right, well, I have to get down lower to the ground for this one because this little shrub is one of two desert willow trees that I have here in my landscaping, but this is the only one flowering right now, and I really wanted to show you guys the flowers. The scientific name of desert willow is Chelopsis linearis, maybe, if I'm saying that right. This Southwest native is a spreading deciduous shrub that can get up to 40 feet tall and 25 feet wide. It thrives in hot, dry climates and soils, but can also withstand sub-zero temperatures in US zones 5 and 6. It is primarily effective as an antifungal. The leaves, branch tips, flowers can be boiled, dried, made into a tincture to combat candida infections. And this goes for fungal infections anywhere on the body, ladies. You can use this like the flowers steeped in a tea and use it as a douche, or maybe take a bath with it. It is really effective as an antifungal because of its antifungal property. It's also effective as a treatment or prophylactic for valley fever, which is a sickness often found in the Southwest from like wind or something bringing up dirt, and there's a specific fungus that gets in your lungs. I don't know if I've ever had it. Most people beat it, but it's a good treatment for that as well. So this gorgeous plant, which is used primarily as a landscaping tree ornamentally here in the desert, is quite an effective plant medicine. For this next plant, we are migrating to the back of the property to show you two specimens which are not in the best health. I wish I had a better tree example to show you guys, but these two trees had a real go of it this winter and have barely started coming back to life. And I am talking about the Palo Verde. Now I'm not sure which type of Palo Verde I have. I know there's a blue one, a yellow one, and a Mexican Palo Verde, but the yellow and the Mexican might be the same. I'm not sure. They all perform and behave relatively the same, besides some differences in soil, water, and heat requirements. But the scientific name for the Palo Verde is the Parkinsonia species. This is often classified as a weedy tree here in the Southwest, and it can become invasive. Its smooth green bark facilitates photosynthesis when it's young, and it produces beautiful yellow, orange flowers any time of the year when it has adequate moisture and warmth. It is unlikely that mine will be producing beautiful yellow flowers this year. I honestly thought both of my trees were dead, but they started coming back green this spring, so at least they didn't die. They have extreme resistance to heat and drought, and they fix nitrogen in the soil. They are legumes. The seed pods of all species are edible and can be eaten similarly to beans in any way that beans are eaten. So fresh, you can eat them. Boiled or fresh, kind of like edamame. Apparently they taste like edamame, although I have never eaten any on account of being unable to keep them alive. You can also let the seed pods completely ripen and eat them like dried beans, or just grind it up and make some sort of atole or flour from them, kind of like you would mesquite. The medical uses I found in textbooks online are mostly traditional uses from Mexico, India, and Nigeria. Because these traditional uses have been passed down for so long and are so popular in those countries, some research, some scientific, like published research, has started to come out about the medical uses of Palo Verde, but it's not widespread yet. There's not a whole bunch of information to find online. But as for the traditional medicinal uses of Palo Verde, a decoction of leaves and bark have been used as a diaphoretic to treat fever, and others have used it internally to treat epilepsy and externally to treat painful joints and arthritis. And last but not least, guys, we are actually in the garden because I have 3 plants from the same family to show you. One of which I am cultivating, like I started seeds on purpose, and the other 2 are actually growing wild in my garden. And this plant is mallow, specifically from the Malva family. Mallow is an annual herb that prefers recently disturbed soil sites, and although the plant is found throughout the US, there are 2 particular species of mallow that I find usually in my immediate area and that are commonly found here in the Southwest. And the first is common mallow, which goes by the scientific name of Malva neglecta, and the second is called cheeseweed mallow, which goes by the name of Malva parviflora. Malva neglecta specifically I find at my mom's house all the time. There were a ton of plants when I had my wedding in November down there, and I really wanted to dig them up and keep their roots, but I was in a wedding dress and too busy to do herbalism at the time. And I found a common mallow in my front yard landscaping last year, but it didn't get very much water and it looked in really poor health, so I did not harvest from it as well. But that's the one that I find growing all around. The second mallow species that I'm going to talk about is Althea officinalis, which is the scientific name for marshmallow. I actually bought some marshmallow plant seeds from Strictly Medicinal Seeds last year, and I started them this spring, and I currently have 2 marshmallow plants that are in my garden. They transplanted successfully and they look like they're growing great. And last but not least, the last mallow I'm going to talk about, and this one I also find wild here on my property every year. It's a perennial, but it is in the Malva family, and that is desert globe mallow. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce its scientific name, but I will put it on the screen for you guys. It is a member of the mallow family, but it's a perennial shrub with grayish green leaves and beautiful showy flowers that come in various colors, although the ones that are here on my property are this really pretty apricot color, and I wish I had some video to show you, but they are not flowering right now. Now, although they have different scientific names, that's just their genus and species, and they all belong to the same family of malvaceae. All of these mallow plants have similar properties and similar effects on the body and what they can do for you. And the main component of the mallow family is the mucilage. It is very mucilaginous plant, especially the root. If you can't imagine a mucilaginous plant, think of mucus. That's gross to say. If you don't like thinking of that, think of okra. You know how the inside of okra is like slimy and weird? That is mucilage, and that is very, very good for the mucous membranes in your body. So any sort of inflammatory conditions related to the gastrointestinal tract can be really, really helped with mucilage. Now, marshmallow root is going to have the most medicinal properties of all of these Malva species. It is helpful to know things that are native in your area, especially different species of the same family of a plant that you may want to cultivate. Like, I wanted to try and grow marshmallow root in my garden this year, but maybe if I couldn't grow it, because it is a plant that likes like wet, damp conditions, and I live in the desert. If I wasn't able to grow it, if I needed the plant, I could just go harvest some Malva neglecta or some desert globe mallow and get the same properties. So I think knowing the native plants in your area, the medicinal native plants in your area, is just extremely beneficial, because not all medicinal plants are going to grow everywhere. There's a lot of plants I would love to grow here and provide for myself in my garden, but I can't because they just don't do well in my extreme climate. So I could, one, get on a website and order pre-made tinctures or pre-made dried herbs and, you know, pay for that myself and then do it at home. Or I could find a comparable native plant that's going to grow here because it loves my area and harvest from it responsibly and sustainably and go that route. But I'm not going to sit here and wax poetic about native plants or native plant medicine. But I will let you guys know, because obviously the spring is ramping up, the plants have started to leaf out, and finally I can take some videos and show you plants that actually have like flowers and leaves on them. I will be doing more of these videos where I'm talking about native desert plants, whether they be edible, medicinal, or useful in some other way. I know I had some really positive feedback and good viewership on my mesquite tree video that I did, I believe it was last year. And I also did another one about a native berry that is edible called the wolfberry, related to the goji berry, that did really well last year. So I think I'm going to continue that sort of foraging the desert series, which is what I think I called it. I apologize if you guys really liked those videos last year. I just kind of ran out of time and sunlight and warm weather, and a lot of these perennial native plants are deciduous. So there's not much to show you in the winter if all that's in front of my camera is a stand of brown twigs. But I am very excited for this upcoming gardening year, all of my new medicinal plants that I've got growing in here, and to see what new is growing on my property and in my area so that I can forage for more food and medicine right outside my door. As for sources for all this information, I have previously linked books, herbal books that I love, but I will link those same ones, especially the ones I referenced to refresh my memory for this video, down below. I highly recommend, if you guys want to find scientific research on a subject, that you go to Google Scholar or PubMed. It's really easy, collated websites where you can get multiple scientific papers with one search and just kind of browse from there. It can take quite a bit of work to get a decent amount of information on something, especially herbal medicine, because science is just now catching up to traditional medicinal uses and trying to validate or disprove them. So a lot of plants that we may have anecdotal research on or traditional uses for going back hundreds of years, while they are valid in their own right, there's not been a lot of scientific study. And if you're one of those people that really like science, and I do, although I appreciate anecdotal evidence as well, it can be a little frustrating to try and find research on herbal medicine. Everything I can reference will be down below for you guys. Thank you guys for joining me on this quick little walk around the property, and I will catch you on the next one.